Hello, my friends. Today I'm going to be talking about the upcoming Calgary municipal election. So if you live in the city of Calgary, you're going to notice that we just had an election on the past September 20th, and we're going to have another one on October 18th. In this video, I'm going to be talking about specifically about Calgary. Calgary will have to elect a mayor and a city council, because I've had several people reach out to me and trying to understand who should they vote for, which is not the purpose of the video. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but I'm going to guide you through the candidates for mayor, the main candidates, so that you can make a more educated decision by the time you get to the ballots. What is tricky about mayoral elections here in Canada, different from other parts of the world, is that in other parts of the world, the federal government has political parties that generally rule into the state level and the local level. That's not necessarily the case here in Canada. Some jurisdictions, some cities might have people running by specific parties, but that's generally not the case, especially here in Calgary. On one hand, I think that's a great thing to have because you have to make a decision purely based on platforms, if you like the candidate's record, etc., rather than just picking who is on your team or on your side, if you generally will vote right wing or left wing. Now, for the person who doesn't necessarily follow politics, this might become some sort of headache to try to understand who do they vote for and following each candidate's platform, especially in an election like this one, in which there are multiple candidates. So there are 5 candidates that, according to the polls, are currently top 5 in terms of popularity and chances of winning the mayoral race here in Calgary. The first candidate is Jyoti Gondek. Hopefully I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. She's 52 years old. She's currently a councillor here in Calgary, a city councillor for ward number 3 in the north side of the city. She has been a councillor for the past 4 years. She's a PhD in urban sociology. Her platform is mainly about economic and social resilience. She puts a lot of emphasis on economic and social resilience. She focuses on finding new sources of energy, helping the economy. On the social and environmental aspect, she's very concerned about social injustice. She aims for an equity in municipal budget with regards to benefits for the citizens. In general, she likes to run on a progressive campaign that aims for social justice. Environmentally, she looks to set a target in terms of greenhouse gases emissions for the city of Calgary as part of her platform. Because she's been a councillor, we're also going to talk a bit about her record. She voted in favor of the Green Line. She also voted in favor of the downtown revitalization strategy. Last month, she was part of the members of the city council that voted in favor of requiring businesses to provide, to ask customers to provide proof of vaccination, basically aligning with the Alberta provincial mandate to do so. In 2020, as part of the defund the police movement based on the protests that originated in the US, she voted for a controversial decision to defund some of the Calgary City Police budget to fund alternate community support services. She was in favor of basically allocating some of the current budget that goes to the police base, and the argument was based on systemic racism that might exist in the city, to fund alternate community services. In general, based on what I read from her campaign and her platform, she sells herself as well this way. She can be considered more of a progressive. She's looking for, and that's how I would describe it. Jyoti Gondek, I would definitely say it's a progressive candidate in the Calgary election. Next one is Jeff Davison. Jeff Davison is 43 years old. He's also a city councillor for ward number 6 on the southwest of the city. He has a bachelor in communication. His background is in the marketing and film industry. His number one priority on his platform is Calgary's economy, attracting new talent, promoting the city across the world. And he has some projects for that, including a Banff Calgary Airport rail. He's concerned about affordability in the city of Calgary. He also wants to build a Calgary for everybody. That's why, as also part of, if I go now to his record as he's a city councilor, he same as Jyoti, he did vote for the Green Line as well, approval. So if you don't know about this project, basically in Calgary, we have a C train that currently has two lines, a red line and a blue line that cover most of the city, but there's some portion of the city that don't have a efficient public transit component yet. The new line that's going to be established into the C train line is called the Green Line. He also voted for the downtown revitalization project. He also voted in favor of the proof of vaccination for consumers in certain type of businesses to be able to attend. However, when he differs from Jyoti is that he suggested or proposed a amendment to the decision to defund the police that was eventually approved. His proposal stopped that decision, and through the reserve fund, which is the rainy fund of the city of Calgary, fund some of these projects without putting in jeopardy city police budget or functionality. In terms of a candidate or how I would profile him, I find him to be a pragmatic candidate. He's looking for solving problems. He sounds less idealistic than any of the other candidates, more hands-on, real world, really looking for solutions, just over any sort of rhetoric, the social problems that also tackled for the city. And so for that decision, I would certainly flag him as a pragmatic candidate. The next candidate is Jeromy Farks. Jeromy Farks is 35 years old. He's also a city councilor for Ward 11. He's the first member of the LGBTQ community to be part of the city council. He wants main platform is to control taxes and city spending, and his main effort is to create change in the city. So he is proposing things like tax freezes for the next 4 years. He rejects any sort of defund the police ideology. He wants to reform bureaucracy, amongst other things. Now, in terms of his record, he was against the Green Line, against the Arena and Event Center, opposed the city's decision to require businesses request proof of vaccination for consumers, was a big champion of the No campaign in the 2026 bid for the Olympics for the city of Calgary, against, as I said before, the defund the police. And he suggested rather than taking the money from the police budget to take it out of the arts and culture portfolio of the city budget. His overall persona and his overall campaign, I would say, is for change. He certainly sells himself completely the opposite or different from what the current mayor of Calgary, Nancy, has portrayed over the past decade. So he's certainly been against a lot of things, but to be fair, it's also with a very strict controlling taxes, controlling spending type of change. So far we have a progressive, a pragmatic, and a change idealistic candidate. The next candidate is Brad Field. Contrary from the past three, he's actually an outsider. He's never been in politics. He's 54 years old, an entrepreneur, educated at MIT, Sloan School of Business. He is the founder of BRC Craft. So he's the CEO and founder of a heavy vehicle repairs and maintenance company. His platform is all about getting Calgary back on track, looking to expand, help industries, attract new industries. He is also looking to improve the quality of life, as he's not currently a city councilor. I'll be looking more detail into his proposals. He wants to run a priority-based budget, contrary to how the budget is run nowadays. He wants more virtual engagement through social media with its citizens. He wants business-friendly policies, basically. He is committed to engage the youth into politics and city government. He also proposed a airport city project. At the moment, Calgary doesn't have any sort of transportation other than really taking an Uber or a taxi cab if you were to drive directly from the airport into downtown. He's also promoting hydrogen as an alternative way to tackle climate change. And he sees the city as a potential big player across the globe. If I read his campaign, he's basically a businessman. So an outsider with no sort of political history, which removes him from the atmosphere of looking into his record. At the same time, he comes from the business world and he can run the government like a business, put spending under control, and that sort of thing. So that's how I would profile him, a businessman. The next candidate, it's also a outsider. Her name is Damery. She's 58 years old. She's an economist. She used to be, in the past, part of the Department of Energy of Alberta. She used to work at Trans-Canada Pipelines. And she used to be head of United Way. Or she used to be very involved with United Way. Most recently, she was head chief of YW Hub, which was a foundation that would aim to find housing for isolated, homeless women with all sorts of problems. So basically a nonprofit. Her platform, her goal is to generate 8,000 jobs. She is, one of her priorities is to have meaningful action in terms of tackling climate change. She wants to engage in new housing and affordable housing. She has a plan on her website to build 10,000 homes. And her big selling point is that she wants to include everybody in her recovery. So similarly, I would say to a degree to Jyoti Gondek campaigns, she's looking. She has a big social component, and particularly regarding minorities in how she frames her campaign. So there's a lot of social involvement and environmental concerns in her policies. So in terms of how I would frame her based on what I read on her platform, on her website, from what I gathered, I could say she's also a progressive, but I would say she's more of an activist more than a progressive. She's an outsider. She hasn't really been in government before. She's run nonprofits in the past. So she's really your activist. So there you have it. Jyoti Gondek, I would say it's a progressive. Jeff Davison, a pragmatic candidate. Jeromy Farks, a change, idealistic candidate. Brad Field, a businessman. And Damery, an activist candidate. Hopefully this has helped you to get some sort of understanding on who the candidates are, and you also have to make a decision on a number of questions that the province has for you, and the city has questions about putting fluoride into the water. So if you want also to know how to vote on those and you want to learn more about those, wait for my next video in which I'll be talking about those as well. In the meantime, please subscribe, like this video, follow on suggestions, please add your commentary. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'm Carlos, and this is See Vera. Thanks so much.